Outstanding. Pow!
1, 2, 3. FES14.com. 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 FES14.com.
Good morning, poopies. How you guys doing? We are just podcasting today on this Wednesday. In ordinary time.
Yes, in ordinary time.
In ordinary time. That's something that our co-host probably doesn't know about, or maybe he does.
No,
well,
at the time.
Not sure how into the Catholicism he is. But anyway.
I have Catholic credentials.
I know you have Catholic credentials. You did grow up Catholic, right?
I grew up Catholic. I was an altar boy, a lector, an usher, a CCD teacher, and the youth group leader. So I have
You're
my
a
credentials.
CCD teacher.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
So
I told kids the talking snake story, so I could fucking sit in on any Catholic
Hold on one sec. So we got to practice what we preach. So we're gonna try as hard as we can to refrain from
vulgarity.
Oh, I got to stop vulgarity. God.
Here we go. Watch this. This is what we're gonna do first. Okay. Now, first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tell everybody what we're gonna talk about first. Yeah. Really fast. Okay. Here we go. So let me tell everybody what we're going to do. Basically, this episode is two stoners searching for truth. Yep. That's me and Genghis Khan. Okay. And I am the name that will not be named. Well, I have many names. I'm name fluid. It doesn't matter what my name is. The only name that matters is God and the Fat Enzo podcast. That's it. And today we have our co-host, Pawl Bazile, joining us. And so what we're going to talk about today, we always talk about the good news and the bad news. We are going on the good news side, we are going to discuss Wednesday, the 10th week in ordinary time, June 8th, 2022. That's what today is. I went to Mass this morning. We talked about basically today's message, no other gods shall answer your prayers. And obey even the most innocuous sin. God will still be offended. So be genuine in your efforts to be good. Okay. And we're gonna read 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 20 through 39, and Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 through 19. And in the bad news, now when we say the bad news, Paul, what we just mean is it doesn't matter if it's bad or good in the traditional sense. It's from the world. It's fake news. So it's bad news.
I'm sure we have some of that we can find.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey emotionally appeals for increased gun laws.
heard about
We got
this.
DC shoplifting video. We got more, more of that happening. That's just happening right in broad daylight.
Yep.
Um,
And LA
crime spike.
Crime spike. Yep.
And then also it's National Best Friends Day.
Oh,
Aw.
That's nice.
that is nice. That's like that. Why didn't you say that in the good news part?
I know.
that should
No,
be
it's
the
bad
good news.
news. It's bad news.
Oh,
'cause it's
no,
of
is
the
it?
world.
Oh,
But
did
anyway,
they take over
all
Best
right.
Friends too? No.
What?
I don't know
Did they
about
take over Best Friends and ruin it? Like now it's just a rainbow flag of guys kissing, and
If you
now
mean
that's what Best Friends
they,
means.
I don't know what you mean by they because it's a pronoun, and I'm an English major who does not know pronouns. So, listen. So what we do first is we do our content creators credo, and then I want to get your initial reaction on this after it's done. All right, Paul. But this is what we say before every show.
that. Yes.
And then we will go into the show. We'll start with the bad news because the bad news, it's just easier to take the bad news first, right? We want to absorb.
I think so.
We want to absorb the bad news within good news.
Yeah, and I
So
think,
we say the creed,
Mhm.
say the bad news, then say the good news. It's wrapped inside of it, so that hopefully it will be like just like an armor, a fortress
Yeah.
that deflects any kind of censorship. Here we go. I believe that the freedom of speech is a universal international right, that all opinions shall be tolerated, regardless if agreeable or disagreeable. I believe in the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of the press, the right of the people to peaceably assemble, be it physically or virtually. I believe that truth is non-binary and can be objective, subjective, normative, or complex. There are no eternal facts as there are no absolute truths. For us creators and for our content, great thinkers have philosophized, and our founding fathers debated the dangers of cancellation and censorship for centuries. And no individual shall be indemnified of criticism or mockery, for there is honesty in jest. I pledge that the ideas I share are my own and are not the expressed opinions of any violent criminal organizations. The only group I represent is the human race. I pledge to perform in a professional, dignified manner and to not bully, harass, or slander my fellow human creatures. To refrain from hate, anger, sedition, vulgarity, harassment, pornography, cautioning that sarcasm can at times be misinterpreted as such. I believe in the counter speech doctrine, that the remedy to negative, harmful speech is more positive, helpful speech, not enforced silence. That no person shall be denied access to social media, which is the marketplace of ideas and today's town square. That Section 230 privatizes communism, and that content creators who have broken community guidelines in the past deserve retribution because we are all constituents of the human party and humans are fallible. Amen. All right.
I like that little thing. Is that from an episode of Family Matters?
Oh my God, yes.
It should be.
Either that or Family Ties.
Oh yes, Kirk Cameron. Who's
Wait, no, Family
Still-
Ties. Wait, okay. Which one?
No,
which
I'm
one-
sorry. I'm mixing it up with Growing Pains. I'm sorry.
Yeah, which one was it that had our boy from Back to the Future in there?
That was Family Ties.
Family Ties, because he was a Republican.
He was. That was Michael J. Fox played
Michael J. Fox, he was a Republican.
Michael P. something. I don't know. Oh, I
So
haven't
is
seen
that
that show
coming
in
out
a
of
long
here?
time.
Is that? I wonder how this is sounding on there. I need to hear this. Hold on. You might have some.
Who, me?
I just want to see how it sounds. Keep talk. Can you say something for me?
Hi, everybody. How are you? I'm Paul at BazilePaul on Twitter.com. Am I popping?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, hey, we haven't had anybody
Sorry,
on yet.
I'm going to try and refrain from my potty mouth, but at this time of
You have to. You have to.
yeah, in this ungodly hour, my mouth and brain aren't communicating as well as they should.
No, but it's all good. But you just have to make. You got to make that effort. We just did the.
I'm gonna make the effort. I'm gonna make it. I swear.
We did the prayer. Therefore, we tricked you into listening to the prayer. That's what my plan was. And as a good Catholic, you're gonna go right along with it, and you're gonna be good. You're gonna be good today, Paul.
I know how to stare straight ahead and look reverent as good as the next guy. You know.
So let's talk about some bad news. First of all, you want to catch up with Paul for a sec? How you been doing? How you doing and things like that? That sounds like the most reasonable thing to do.
Yeah, then we'll jump into everything.
Everything. Paul, how you been, sir?
Pretty good. I've been working a lot lately. I work in a church of sorts. I manage a strip club at the Jersey Shore. So, we're all men of God here. Jesus hung out with hookers, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
In a way.
Dude, that is exactly right.
The closest thing you ever had to Jesus. True.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have me talk to somebody who's just going to be a yes person, or would you rather me sneak Paul Bazile on?
If my brain worked properly, I would have told you in my intro to say, Jesus Christ couldn't make it in today. We have Paul Bazile replacing him.
Oh my God. No, we will not blaspheme like that. We will not.
Hey guys, I'm the second choice.
So where are you at as far as your faith goes, Paul? If I may, and if you don't feel comfortable talking about stuff like this, you don't have
talk
to.
about whatever you want, man.
But no, it's let me just audit you a little bit so we understand where how to handle your perspective.
Yeah, if you guys can't take, like, if the confirmed conservative rebel punk rockers can't take guys with different opinions, and I don't know who to go to anymore.
Oh, of course, absolutely. No anger, no hate, no nothing. Now, are you familiar with Jesse Lee Peterson?
I know the name.
He's big in the alt culture. I don't know what.
Oh, okay, yeah, no.
I don't know.
Probably don't know his work, but I've heard his name.
Yeah, I don't really know. What would that be considered like?
In the dark web?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. He's another Peterson. We actually have a really great t-shirt that we're going to drop once our new website drops. We're not going to talk about it right now, but it's going to be funny. That'll be hilarious. But anyway, so Jesse Lee Peterson, he's the one who basically, and Paul, you're aware, unless we're not going to get into we're not going to get into all of the minutia of details and things like that, but you're aware that recently, not too long ago, I had a lot going on in my life. And so this guy, Jesse Lee Peterson, who's basically, he's a podcaster, like, who has been around for a long time, like 20 something years or something. But he just really came on my radar about a year to 2 years ago. And I didn't really start listening to him or at all, or watching him to maybe like 6 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and he basically, what he does is he teaches like Christianity and stuff like that, but he tricks people into meditating. He's basically like a guru, but he'll deny all this. He will deny all this, and he actually spoke at like AFLAC, America First Conference. Is it AFLAC?
Oh, good. That hasn't totally.
It's AFLAC.
Company, you idiot.
That hasn't totally shaken apart at the seams. The America First people who now are just realizing that their leader is into trannies and that, he isn't religious whatsoever, but he's trying to rope everybody into it.
Okay, I don't know about that. What are you talking about?
It does.
I don't know. Is that something you mentioned yesterday?
Yeah, because he does the America First conference or whatever it is.
Now,
right?
is this hearsay, Paul, or or is this like a confirmed thing?
Well, it's
Can you
as
cite your
confirmed as it
sources?
could be with somebody denying it on the other side. It would be like if I showed you, pictures of OJ holding the severed head, and he's still going, "Not that wasn't me. I didn't do it." It's when you have like all the internet 4chan sleuths proving that certain accounts are your account, and then showing pictures of your phone with she-male pornography all over it. And it's like, which by the way, it's not my jam, but I don't care if that's who you are. Bobby, that I've worked with sodomites in the past and currently do to this day. I've worked with Milo. I've worked with some of the most devious people you can imagine. I don't care what you do. And if you were asking me earlier about like where I stand these days on my fate. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news and get your audience to hate me right away, but I'm not big on anything supernatural. Like immediately when I hear something is supernatural or magical, it doesn't appeal to me at all. When I hear a girl even say like, "What's your sign?" It freaks me out. Like I'm just like, "Oh, you're stupid. I didn't know. My God!" Like it just it puts that bad taste in my mouth. But where I am with my faith, as in all things, as we should be, is I am anti hypocrisy. So I don't care what anyone else believes, because I don't believe it matters what you believe. And when I say that, I mean, you could believe that, that the moon is a giant octopus, and if we don't pray to it every night, that the oceans are going to run red with blood. Doesn't matter if you believe that because it's not true. But you could say I believe it, and it's like, and I just think to myself, well, that's nice. Like, okay. Now, Christians, for the most part in my life, have always been really nice to me. Doesn't mean I have to agree with them, but I don't understand where Christian hate came from. Like, I don't understand why people get like that's the one, Catholicism especially is the one like acceptable. We could rip on that religion all day and make fun of it because like I said, I grew up in the church. Very logically and soundly, I went, I think I smell some BS here. And
Why?
Well, we'll get into that.
Because of the magical stories. Like if it was just about being a good person, I'm with it. And I think it's great. But there's a lot of stuff that comes with being the magical person. Doesn't mean it's not interesting. Doesn't mean that historically speaking, I can't get into it because I'm down those rabbit holes. One of the weird talents I have is I could spout off papal facts. Like I could tell you facts about popes that lived 900 years ago, like that. I love talking about the anti-popes. I love talking about Stephen the Sixth, who dug up Formosus and put him on trial in his papal vestments, and had a guy behind the chair as the devil's advocate doing his voice, going, "Because I'm a sinner and I'm guilty." And then he went, cut off his blessing fingers, and he did. And then he buried him in a pauper's grave and was still mad at him. So he dug him up and threw him in a river. And then they found him later. Like, he put a corpse on trial. That's the greatest moment in Catholicism. Arguably. But what I'm saying is, it's like, that's some cool historical stuff there. I'm super interested in who wrote the New Testament. Like, people talk about, like, you were talking about a reading from Matthew today, but it's like, who's Matthew? Like, who is he? Why are we
Dude,
listening?
did you know this?
Yeah.
Did you know that Luke and Acts take up 27.5% of the New Testament, and it was written by the same person, and we don't really know who wrote it?
We have an idea who wrote it. Luke was apparently, our best guess, I should say, is that Luke was a Pawl fanboy who followed Paul around and actually may have had some firsthand encounters with Paul the Apostle. And because if you read anything that Luke wrote and Acts, it's very heavy on how great Paul is, and it's repeating a lot of the stuff that St. Paul says. So we have an idea of who he is. We think also that Mark was Peter's translator, but also back in the day when they used to write according to, that didn't necessarily mean the guy who wrote it, which I think is interesting, because it would be like if I wrote something and said according to Bobby Pickle.
Well, actually, that's a name that that will not be spoken. I don't even know who that is. Oh, but that's a great example that you bring up, but I don't know who that is. We don't know. We don't know.
But if I wrote according to Fat Enzo and just said, yeah, these are all the things I heard Fat Enzo tell me, and this is what he believes. Now, if you wrote a biography on me, I might read it and go, and said, these are all Paul Bazile's opinions. I might read it and go, no, I don't really think that, or I might need to clarify this. I mean, Johnny Rotten can't get on the same page as the Sex Pistols to this day, but we're going to, trust 2,000 years ago that Peter's interpreter could say the things accurately that Peter said that Jesus said. So I think that's interesting. John allegedly, the gospel according to John, which by the way is, I almost said pat shit insane. Can you believe it? But it's very different from all the other gospels. And I feel like, and they say that, well, the apostle John, who actually witnessed Christ and was an apostle, wrote it when he was very, very old and he was exiled on an island in Greece. So I think that's interesting, but we don't really know, because then other people go, no, it's another guy named John who was totally unaffiliated. And it's like, all right, this always baffled me. Like, do you know we don't know where, like, Genghis Khan or I don't know why I pointed to you, or Alexander the Great's body is? Like, they're two of the biggest historical figures we could think of. How did we lose them? Like, what, people just forgot? They just went, oh, like, that's not important anymore. Alexander the Great, one of history's greatest leaders and conquerors. Genghis Khan killed so many people that he changed the climate. Where is he? Oh, we forgot. I don't know. He was in Uzbekistan somewhere.
Over there.
Yeah, who knows? To me, that's baffling, because here's my logic when it comes to the historical part of the Bible. So we don't have Jesus's body, okay? Like, we don't have a body. We can't point and go, well, there he is.
Because he went up to heaven.
Right. So saith the scripture.
Yes.
But this is the detective in me, the archaeologist in me goes, but there's other people who are contemporaries who are mentioned in the Bible, which is why it always excites me when they're like, we found Pontius Pilate's tomb or something, or they found Caiaphas's tomb.
Yeah.
So that always excites me. Like,
that is.
Wait, they mentioned you in the Bible. You're famous. But it's like, where Peter,
I think a part of you still wants to believe, probably.
Of course.
But in
the same way I want to believe in and I'm not trying to, disparage faith by saying this, but in the same way I want to believe in Bigfoot. Do I believe in Bigfoot? No. As a logical person, I don't believe in Bigfoot. But when you start saying my neighbor saw Bigfoot, I want to know everything about it. Like, where do you see Bigfoot? Was he eating out of the garbage? Where was he? Was he crossing the street? Are you sure it wasn't a bear? Like, I want to know every little thing about that, in the same way that I get so into, if they tomorrow said, we found a Jesus thing, like we found a stone and we think that Jesus wrote this himself and this is how we proved it. I want to know, how did you prove it? Tell me, I want it to be real. Like the Shroud of Turin. I want it to be real. Like, and I could tell you every excuse for why the carbon dating may not have worked on it, and that it was damaged in a fire in the 1400s, and they rewove part of it, and that might be why the carbon dating didn't work. And I'm into it. I'm like, how cool would it be if that was real and we just couldn't explain it? Like, and we had to go, maybe that was the Shroud of Turin. Maybe we can't explain how the image got on there, which is weird. Like, because you would think they painted it, but Why did they go through all that trouble? And it's so good of a job. Why, if they were going to forge it, why would they do that good of a job? And to me, that's curious and interesting. But my point is, where's Peter's body? We think we have it, but if we do have it, I think Peter has at least 2 heads from what I remember. And this is according to the Catholic Church, by the way, because there's one church that says we have Peter's head with St. Paul's head above the altar. And then we go, oh, but actually we also found his bones under St. Peter's Basilica, and we think that that's where he's buried, and it has a head. So unless he's the only guy ever with 2 heads, I'd like to clarify that. Because some of these things get a little murky when it comes to like relics and relic hunting and the Knights Templar and the Crusades and all the stuff that they did to bring stuff back and go, we found the crown of thorns. And in my head, I go, I want it to be the crown of thorns, but did you? Because you're some guy who lived in like 1060 and, you know, King Philip was going to saw your hand off if you didn't come home with something good. So you went, crown of thorns, it's like 1,000 years old, but they kept track of it somehow.
All right, Paul. Well, listen, at some point, your logic has to stop and then the faith takes over. You know, when you have a faith. Now, do you have any structural spiritual faith? Because I don't believe. Here's my thing. I don't care what faith you have, but what my lead up to this when I was talking about Jesse Lee Peterson, for me, I wanted to share that it got me out of a lot of all of this like depression and anxiety and things, all these things like was released from me when I started watching him because of what he teaches. And basically he teaches you, it tricks you into meditating. So through Christ. And I learned that it does not matter what really religion you believe in. I believe that all of the religions are just languages, and they're languages to God, ways to speak to God. Different cultures have West and East. The East, they sit in a lotus position, but the West, they kneel. And when I'm doing
that actually
prayer,
also comes from the East, by the way.
When I'm praying, all I'm doing is I'm meditating, and I believe that meditation and spirituality need to go together. That was the eye-opening epiphany I had. And by way of Jesse Lee Peterson. Now he just loses me because he has a lot, and you mentioned this before, he says a lot of stuff as far as like just
like you guys worship statues.
He critiques the Catholic Church. Yeah. He says all this stuff like all the other Christians are basically, he never like he'll tear up Bible thumpers, but I don't think that that Catholics are Bible thumpers. Catholics aren't Bible thumpers the way that somebody who's like a Presbyterian, or I don't want to even say direct denomination.
Presbyterian.
Other Christian denominations other than Catholicism, those are the ones that are Bible thumpers. Catholics don't really care. Like they're not gonna like they'll say, I think that they'll help you if you ask, kind of. That's more the philosophy. Kind of like just like he says. You know? But
well,
my point is,
we were talking yesterday about you were telling me about
but I got to keep us on track though, because we're going to do
but you were saying how you went to church daily now.
Yes, and I go daily.
Yeah, and I was like, well, that's a good thing. And I said, well, if you're gonna have a religion, I feel like Catholicism's the way to go. I feel like one of the old school Christian religions, whether it's Eastern Orthodox or Catholicism or Ethiopian Orthodox, which is a very interesting one because they have all sorts of books in their Bible that we don't have. It's the way to go because I feel like just saying, I follow a preacher and he made some other stuff up and now we follow that. I think that's a little wonky when it comes to the word of God, right?
Yes.
Like if it's the word of God, you can't just go, yeah, we decided this is a thing now.
I say that a lot. I say that at least there's a universal interpretation. And I know that wherever I go in the world, because people are all talking about, oh, it's organized religion. I'm against organized religion. Well, guess what? If I'm in some foreign land and I want to go to Catholic church, I know that there's a Catholic mass every single day of the week, anywhere I go. And they're going to be talking about that set thing every single day. They're going to be talking about this particular teaching. It's universal. Isn't that crazy? It's like going to McDonald's and getting your fish sandwich. I want a fillet of fish and I'm in Argentina. I can do that.
Well, I was going to say, if you, for example, if you want a religion, it's like if you want a search engine. Do you want to Google something, or do you want your friend's search engine that he just made and he's working all the bugs out with? Like
exactly. And what other, by the way, religion can you go every single day? That's actually what we talk about today. The priest was talking about. Mm-hmm. He actually said that, and we talked about that yesterday. But it's like, what other religion can you go? Can you go to the mass every day? And that all I'm doing is I'm just going for peace. I'm just going to get, because that's what they say. It's a reoccurring thing that within the Catholic mass. Are you going to have peace in your day? Peace in your day. Peace be with you. Say peace to everybody there. Shake everybody's hand. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Peace be with you. That's the point of it. The point is to give yourself peace and calm for your day.
My biggest takeaway from the Catholic Church, despite what I think is true or untrue as far as what the details, was that it's for sinners. And I think that other Christian interpretations will say, yeah, I'm a sinner too, but they get very judgy. And I didn't understand this because I grew up in like an Italian-Irish neighborhood, for the most part. And then I moved to a neighborhood that was more like Catholic and Jewish as I grew up, like as I went into high school and stuff like that. But I remember like dating a girl whose family was born again Christian when I was like 22, maybe. And I didn't realize the viscerality that people had for Catholics until I did that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like, I couldn't even tell you what religion they were right now because they're.
But I feel like it's other Christian denominations
they were
mad
like born
Catholics.
agains or whatever, you know. But they were the first person that told me, Catholics worship many gods. And at that point, I already wasn't going to church anymore, but I was a CCD teacher and I could run circles around this person when it comes to the catechism. And I'm going, no, we do not worship many gods. And they're like, well, you kneel to statues. And I'm like, what? Who cares? So what? We're not worshiping the statue.
Hey, Paul, pause. You know what you tell them? You say, don't tell me to tear down my statues, and I won't tell you to tear down yours. It's only historical, you idiot.
And by the way, in the history of the Catholic Church, I mean, have you ever been to St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York?
Yes.
It's
I love it.
Cursed again. It's gorgeous, and it's
Beautiful.
like you get the sense of like the 2,000 years of history.
Yes,
with all the candles and the incense and the wizards
I can't
and
say.
robes.
See, this is a test. I will not say that stupid story again.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about going there.
But it's great. And like if I went to Italy, or I haven't been to Europe yet, but if I go to Europe, there's like churches in Czechoslovakia that I want to go see. Like that's what I want to go do and see. Like,
oh my God, you need to tell me where that is.
Years.
I want to go there too.
There's a church in Czechoslovakia that's made out of nothing but like bones of saints and stuff like that.
What?
Like, yeah, like you go in there and it's literally corpses. I want the goth kid in me needs to see that. I want to see this is the hand of Saint Aquarius of the, like, I want to look and go, that's his hand. Like, I like stuff like that,
Deadlick Ossuary?
What's that?
Deadlick Ossuary is what it's called, I believe. Is a Roman Catholic chapel located between the Cemetery Church of All Saints, part of the former Sedlec Abbey in Sedlec, of a suburb of I have no idea how to pronounce that.
It's
Can
some
you pull a
Czechoslovakian
picture of the
stuff.
inside of it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
It's
dropping
made
a.
out of. It's made out of estimated 40,000 to 70,000 people whose bones have been.
I'm gonna put a picture in there right
Wow.
now. I'm just dropping it
Please.
into my
This is
folder
worth looking at.
here at any point.
But it's like 40,000 holy people, and they just like stapled their spines to the walls and went like, "This
Yeah.
is what we're. Look at this spot." Yeah.
This
Oh,
is,
come on.
this is like
Every
Dude,
black
like
metal
creepy,
band
but
in the
almost
world.
like I need to see this.
You see it there?
Yes.
Like, oh God, look at this stuff.
This is a miracle. This is amazing.
That's amazing.
No, that's outstanding.
Look at this.
This is
This is-
literally
So that's
every.
that. I mean, I want to go to mass there. Yes, I do want to go to mass there.
Don't you?
Paul. I do
regardless of
wanna
how
go to
dark
mass
this
there.
looks, I like this a lot. Like, I don't care how dark this looks. We already know what I like to watch podcast on. So
Yeah, you're a
If you're a
sick.
goth kid and you don't want to go
Why
there,
is this?
you're not
Why is
really
he so
goth.
sick? He loves like mass murderers and stuff like that. Sick.
That's not
serial
that's
killers.
Not necessarily all murdered people. That a lot of that is relics.
Disgusting.
It's saints.
Let's talk about some news here, please. Let's get into the news. Matthew McConaughey news. Did you see this, Paul?
I did.
You did
And
see
by
it,
the way, I
right?
came prepared.
Huh?
I came prepared.
You came prepared. You saw this?
Does anyone know what this is from? There you go. I did see this.
They say we need to invest in mental health care. We need safer schools. We need to restrain sensationalized media coverage. I agree with that.
I agree with that part until he gets to the
Yeah, that's the only
punchline.
thing I agree with. Maybe I don't know. We need to restore our family values. I agree with that.
yeah.
We need to restore our
Yeah.
American values. I agree with that. And we need responsible gun ownership. I don't know what that means.
That always is open for interpretation.
That's open for interpretation.
Did you see my Matthew McConaughey reference that I brought in?
Big hug mug.
It's the mug that he was ashing his cigarettes into in True Detective.
Really?
Yes, during the interview, he had big hug mug and he was smoking into it. So just by pure coincidence, I brought my McConaughey prop with me today.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to talk about. Yeah, we are. Yeah, see, look at this National Best Friends Day.
Could they
I hate
pick
Pete
gayer looking
Davidson.
people? Oh my God, those are Machine Gun Kelly and Pete Davidson.
Yeah, and it's the stupidest article. It's like just shows pictures of them. I mean, oh my God, this is the kind of news that we have in the. Oh, I almost said the word hate. I don't want to say I hate people, but I mean, why do you even like you? Why do you open up your phone and you take that into your brain? Like, I don't even want to look at those people. It's like, ugh,
I know.
what is this? Is my ugh. I don't
don't
care
know.
about those people at all.
When I think about two awesome guys, I
At
don't
all.
think
No.
about that.
I
Like-
don't care
really
at all.
could
I'm
go
sorry.
my whole day
At
without knowing.
all. Zero.
Like I
And
think
this
about
isn't just
Mark
me, like-
Twain and Thomas Edison or something, like hanging around together. Like,
Exactly, you're
Now
right.
we have
You
Machine
know.
Gun Kelly and Pete Davidson.
I
Wonderful.
know. Talk about something like, yeah, that's so right. Like, talk about some people that had some kind of who mattered to the world, to this country. You could do that, or to the world, or something like that. Talk about, those are the people. Talk about idolatry. Talk about, worshiping false gods. That's false gods.
Pete Davidson.
Yes,
We're coming for you, Davidson.
it is, man. So
true.
McConaughey, what did he say? He said this, I think. What did he say? Hold on.
You have that video?
The place where most of us Americans live anyway, especially on this issue. Because I promise you, America, you and me, we are not as divided as we are being told we are. No. How about we get inspired? Give ourselves just cause to revere our future again. Maybe set an example for our children. Give us reason to tell them, hey, listen and watch these men and women. These are great American leaders right here. Hope you grow up to be like them. And let's admit it. We can't truly be leaders if we're only living for re-election. Let's be knowledgeable and wise and act on what we truly believe. Again, we got to look in the mirror, lead with humility, and acknowledge the values that are inherent to, but also above politics. We got to make choices, make stands, embrace new ideas, and preserve the traditions that can create true progress for the next generation. With real leadership, let's start giving us, all of us with real leadership, let's start giving all of us good reason to believe that the American dream is not an illusion. So where do we start? We start by making the right choices on the issue that is in front of us today. We start by making laws that save innocent lives and don't infringe on our Second Amendment rights. We start right now by voting to pass policies that can keep us from having as many Columbine, Sandy Hooks, Parklands, Las Vegases, Buffaloes, and Uvaldes from here on. We start by giving Alethea a chance to be spoiled by her dad. We start by giving Mayday a chance to become a marine biologist. Start by giving Ellie a chance to read her Bible verse at the Wednesday night service. Start by giving Irma and Joe a chance to finish painting their house. Maybe retire, get that food truck. We start by giving McKenna, Layla, Miranda, Nevaeh, Jose, Javier, Tess, Rogelio, Eliana, Annabelle, Jackie, Azuya, JC, Jayla, Ava, Amory, and Lexi. We start by giving all of them our promise that their dreams are not going to be forgotten. We start by making the loss of these lives matter. Thank you. Thank you.
When he spoke to the president, he said,
The one thing that was weird though, I didn't really hear like any solutions with that at all. So I asked Parker to find where he actually talks about the little bit of gun control, and so there's this part. Hold on.
We need to invest in mental health care. We need safer schools. We need to restrain sensationalized media coverage. We need to restore our family values. We need to restore our American values. And we need responsible gun ownership. Responsible gun ownership. We need background checks. We need to raise the minimum age to purchase an AR-15 rifle to 21. We need a waiting period for those rifles. We need red flag laws and consequences for those who abuse them. Responsible gun owners are fed up with the Second Amendment being abused and hijacked by some deranged individuals.
Well, the interpretation of that last part is, yes, as a responsible gun owner, I don't want it to be abused by mass shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I agree with that part. That last bit right there. That's it.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of Obama-esque talking point. Well, how he would like, it's very, okay, so it's a very well-written speech, right? And it appeals to your emotions, which is one thing that Obama always did. He always had different people as an example. Watch any Obama speech. There's this person, and then they do this and they do that, and they want a life doing this, and they want to. It's all the same thing. They do this. This is how. So he's doing an appeal to emotion speech, right? And he's actually doing another thing that Obama always did, where he puts the thing that he's really trying to say in the sandwiches it right in the middle of all these obscure things that are very wishy-washy in the middle. You can take any way possible. So all those things sound really good to the ear, but they're not realistic things, right? But in the middle, in the very middle of the whole thing, he says one sentence, right? He says responsible gun ownership. And then he'll say this and maybe two more sentences of things, right?
Yeah.
And I think he said something about the red flag law.
Yeah.
But it's sandwiched in the middle of all this beautiful language. And it's done by an emotional person, well, like somebody that we watch all the time, especially leftists, because leftists only know culture references, all the real, real things are, all the things are going on in society,
trending,
all the circus and bread and stuff like that, whatever that is. So they have Matthew McConaughey do it. And then
that was obvious. First time when you said that, I'm like, why is he? Oh,
that's who they're. That's who they're. What they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Obama, with every speech he ever gave, somebody pointed this out to me a while ago, and it's absolutely true. You really can't disagree with anything Obama's ever said, because everything he says is like, well, we just want kids to get food.
Mm-hmm.
And you go like, well, yeah, so do I. Like, it's like, we just don't want old people dying. What's wrong with that? And you go, oh, yeah, you're right. I don't want old people dying. And then somewhere in the middle, like you said, is that's why socialism isn't a bad idea.
Exactly.
Grandma's got to live to see her grandkids. And you're just like, yeah, grandma's got to live to see her grandkids. Yeah, of course.
You got to really listen to it. He tells you what they're going to do. I remember specifically when Obama was talking about, when I really noticed this, because being from Florida, I am always aware of, in the Tampa Bay area out in the Gulf, that they do oil drilling, offshore oil drilling.
Yeah.
Right. And so I remember he was telling a speech about wanting, and I just thought it was like funny because he's supposed to be this left wing person who wants alternative energy, wants all the things. But then in the middle, he had the increased offshore oil drilling. And I was like, that's interesting how that's sandwiched in the middle of all those other things, like clean coal and, renewable, like whatever, like solar and all the other thing. In the middle of all those things, in the middle of it was offshore oil drilling.
More
off.
Yeah. And I'm like, wow, he just put that right in the middle.
But here's the thing, and I don't know if this was the intention of McConaughey's speech, but this is what struck me. Who's angrier when somebody misuses a firearm than responsible gun owners? Right?
Who's
like,
what?
have you ever...
Say one more time.
Who gets angrier when somebody misuses a firearm, whether it's a mass shooting or they just even if they're pointing an unloaded pistol at somebody, like who gets angrier
mad?
At that
than
a responsible gun owner?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
to me,
he mentioned that. He's right.
Right. So to me, it's like, well, why do you need to put more laws on the people following the laws? I know it's trite, but isn't that kind of silly? Because that's not who we're going after. But what he's on to is the mental health aspect of it. I don't necessarily agree with him when he says, we need a media that needs to stop sensationalizing. We do, but my problem with that is, how do we want to restrict speech, and then whose speech is going to get restricted?
I know,
because that's always a slippery.
It's always where you end in the whole thought process of that logic right there.
I'll put it to you this way: as a capitalist, if I owned a media company, I would never show a mass shooter's face on my news. But as my choice, I wouldn't say, and I want a law imposing that you're not allowed to show the guy's face, because a lot of these people have this delusions of grandeur of like, and then I'll be on the news as the baddest badass who ever lived, striking fear into people. Like, and that's something that I think gets these very
the only
mentally
problem with
ill
that,
people going.
the only problem with that is those media companies are run by like one person, and they're all, and they're unelected. They're an unelected government who are deciding what, what I'm saying, what to sensationalize or not. That's the problem. But
I think the biggest
on.
thing that everyone's always missing from the gun thing of like, why are there mass shootings and stuff like that, is social media.
I think it's really spiritual, but you're going to stick around for the good news, right?
Of course.
Okay, so I think it's spiritual. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go to the DC thing first?
Yeah.
DC.
I was going to read it and then play the video.
Go ahead.
All right. So, DC shoplifters caught on video snatching laundry detergent at store near Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
A witness tells Fox News the grocery store security officer did not try to stop the brazen thieves. By Lauren Richard.
Keep going.
Yep.
Do it up.
Shoplifters were caught on video brazenly robbing a grocery store just 1 mile from the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. In the video, at least 3 people in a giant food store or grocery store on 8th Street Northeast are seen stealing as much laundry detergent as they can, carrying, filling up garbage bags and a shopping cart before walking further into the store. The theft happened around 1 p.m., a witness told Fox News. Little caption here of the picture. Shoplifters in Washington, D.C. were caught on video stealing laundry detergent from a grocery store near the Capitol.
Was it like a flash mob?
No,
dude, they're all flash mobs. That's what I
don't know.
Well, actually, Khan has an interesting take on it. You want to give your take right now, Khan? It sounds like a good time.
Yeah. So, like, I believe a little bit we talked about the rising gas prices, and I personally believe through one of my friends who told me the idea also that when gas prices get over $5 a gallon, the crime rate is gonna just soar no matter where it is. Like, especially in like the more democratic cities per se, it's gonna get really bad. Because I mean, think about it. A few months ago, everybody was robbing Louis Vuitton stores and jewelry stores and high end stuff like that.
Yeah.
And gas was high, but it was not like now, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than double. Yeah.
They're stealing now. Now they're stealing laundry detergent, meaning that in my mind, I'm thinking, are they seriously going to be like selling them on the streets because they're not going to be, the economy going to be crashing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, imagine that having to you want to do your laundry in like a democratic city, you have to go to the street corner to get your laundry detergent.
And so what was it? Yeah. So your point is that these are people that are
I think they
genuinely needy and needing of stuff.
Yeah, that too, because I think some of these, they might realize like, yo, we're getting screwed here. We got to just stock up. We don't have the money. Well, how do you do it now? If you can't put money in your car. Finish
this article. A witness to the crime, Fox News, the store's security officer did not attempt to stop the thieves. That's what's happening with all of them.
Yeah.
No, they don't want to get involved anymore.
Mm-hmm. A Giant Grocery responded to the video of the robbery on Twitter, saying it's investigating. It's unclear if the thieves have been arrested.
Okay. Of course they haven't. Now there's a video to this, and we'll play it right now.
This is the good news?
Bad news. No, this is what's happening all over the country, man.
Yeah, I have a theory.
Okay, we're going to hear your theory as soon as it's over. Wow, okay. What's your theory?
As a guy who currently lives in the hood,
yes,
I don't think it's needy people who are just taking it because they seriously can't clean their clothes. If you live in the hood, you know about bodegas.
Yes.
I think they're
Selling
selling
it
it
to the bodegas?
wholesale to bodegas. Yeah,
They're selling it to the bodegas.
yeah, they're going to the corner, little.
No,
crap
that's what
stores.
happens. Also, they still they'll buy. Well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, or they'll buy them in Virginia, like cigarettes,
Cigarettes,
right? And then they'll bring them up and sell them there to bodegas. That happens. Yeah, you're right. That's a good theory.
Yeah.
That's a good theory.
I do see that too.
They don't look like just nice people who are like, I just can't clean my socks. They look very prepared. Like this was a thing where they went, okay, let's put on the masks and the hoodies and go in there and muscle our way through the.
It all just
store.
perpetuated with the sick thing that happened.
Right?
It just perpetuated with everybody wearing the masks. It just people were like,
do you
can
remember
just get away
back
with
in the
anything.
day? Do you remember when we were very much like, why are people hiding their face? Oh my God. Like before all the stuff happened where everyone had to wear a mask, we were like, stop wearing masks. Show yourself. If this is your opinion, if this is the person you want to be, own it and be responsible for yourself. And then everyone was wearing a mask. So now it's all blended together. Like the news isn't going to even report masked men were in there. They're like, people conscious of their health were in stealing laundry detergent. Like it's gotten ridiculous where it's like people are still wearing masks and it's like they're wearing masks for the same nefarious reasons they wore it for before, but now they have an excuse,
Let's talk about Los Angeles. This is actually probably related. There's a crime spike in Los Angeles. Con?
Yep. Los Angeles crime spike. Will progressive prosecuting cause an increase in crime for other U.S. cities? One Los Angeles assistant district attorney said that Gaskin tricked a lot of people by Adam Sabe.
Yep.
As of April, shootings in Los Angeles are up by 69% since 2020. Violent crime is up by 7.2% when compared to last year. Robberies are up by 18.5% when compared to last year. Car thefts are up by 40% when compared to 2020, according to the Los Angeles Times. This is what Los Angeles is experiencing, and there's a growing fear that if progressive Los Angeles District Attorney George Gaskin isn't recalled, the recent crime wave will only continue to increase. As district attorney, Gaskin has implemented a progressive wish list of policy, which may view as adding fuel to an increased rate of crime in Los Angeles, including in the massive policy changes implemented when Gaskin took office in 2020. A directive was sent to all deputy district attorneys to decline pressing charges or outright dismiss charges before arraignment for several misdemeanors, such as
arraignment,
trespassing, criminal threats, drug possession, resisting arrest, and more. There are exceptions, and under certain circumstances, charges can be prosecuted. Among the changes Gaskin implemented in a diversion. No,
I mean, I don't think we need to read the whole thing. We know what's up. This is what's happening in all major U.S. cities. Okay?
New York, especially, yeah.
And Paul knows that especially. And when you go to New York now, you'll see more vagrants, more people in different,
It's the Dinkins years all over again. It's graffiti everywhere. Places are still boarded up. It's disgusting. It's disgusting how backwards they've gotten it. And it's almost like the gas prices thing where everyone's freaking out about it. And then when you see somebody from the Biden administration, you never hear anything reassuring. They're never like, they'll be down in 3 months. I'm sorry. After the summer, we'll get it under control. We have a new supply. It's never that. It's always, well, this is what we got to live with now, guys.
Yeah.
In other countries, it's even worse. Like, that's what they do. It's the same thing with everything going to hell in New York. They paint a BLM mural and they go, but that's beautiful. And you're just supposed to go, okay, I guess that's what life is now.
Oh my God. All right. So listen, we're going to get into the good news section. But before that, we're going to take a PP break. And that's a really fast break, Paul. Only like a minute or two tops, okay? So we'll be right back.
Promise?
2 seconds. Stick right there, Paul, please. And stick right there with us, guys. All right?
I will.
Oh, Paul, you back?
Hold on. When
Outstanding. Pow.
You good now?
Yeah, now we're good.
Okay. Yo, so all right, we're back, and now we are going to get into the good news. Now do it. Okay, cool. So, man, all of this bad news that happens in the world, it can really all be attributed to a lack of good news in your heart. That's my real thought about all this. That's why all of these ideas that people have, these politicians, you know, these pleads that Matthew McConaughey has, emotional pleas, they're never going to work. It's never going to be a realistic solution. The realistic solution, in my humble opinion, and I think that it's just a lack. I think that the freedom of religion thing doesn't mean a lack of religion. It means you're free to practice whatever religion you choose. And I think that people need, that's what I'm saying.
Well, atheism could be perceived as a religion.
I'm sorry, it's not a religion. It's not.
I'm just that's the only point I have on
it's
that.
Not.
Well, my question
is
to
a
you would
religion.
be,
Yes, it is a religion, but it's not going to be
a
wholesome, good religion. I'm saying this is what I'm saying.
Why not?
Meditation and spirituality need to go together. Okay, meditation without spirituality is fruitless. You are secular. You're not doing the right thing. You're walking around with anesthesia brain. Yes, just like the dude talks. That's true. Yeah. Now, but if you have spirituality without that meditation, I think that it's inarticulate. You're not really getting anywhere with just sitting here saying blah 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 blah. No, there's no thought, there's no feeling in there. There's nothing. It's just blah. You know, it's like what is that? What does Matthew McConaughey say in that one?
All right.
Yeah.
No, he's like it's all in you know, the scene in Wall Street where he's
it's a woozy, like, it's a wazzy, it's a woo.
No, but it's all oh man, I forgot that.
Fugazi.
I don't remember.
Not a Fugazi, but it is a Fugazi. But it's just all materialistic BS. The truth is you need both of those. You need meditation and you need spirituality. You mix that together and I think that you're good. So we went to Matt.
Well, can I ask a question about that?
Yes, of course.
When you say, as the representative of the secular scum here, When
But
you say,
but yes, we went through the secular part though. Now we're going to go into the good.
when you no,
Now,
obviously,
see,
but
you got it. You go to a point where you go with the logic to a certain point, and then the faith takes over. This is where the faith comes in.
when you say freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, does
Yeah,
the
you're right.
implication of
You're
but
right.
does
It's not
the-
freedom from religion. It's
No,
freedom
but-
of religion.
is the implication of that religion ought to be mandatory?
I would make it mandatory. Yes.
You mean more?
I
don't
think
know
I think
about
that it
that.
should be. I think that it be
Enforced, you
strongly
mean?
encouraged. How about that? Strongly encouraged.
Strongly encourage. I'm all for.
It's strongly
me
encouraged.
in
Now let's
whatever
go
you
into the
want,
mass
yeah.
this morning, Paul. Today
What do you got?
it's Wednesday of the
Yeah.
10th week in ordinary time. So that means that we're not in Easter, we're not in Christmas, right?
Yeah,
Is that what
Right.
it means?
Lent and Advent.
When the pagan prophets of Baal called out in prayer, no one answered and no one was listening. However, Jesus Christ has come to fulfill the work of God's prophets. We obey the smallest part of a letter of the law because the commandments show us the path of life and the sure way to the kingdom of heaven. So just like what I was talking about, the messages of the day, the takeaways, that's what we talked about today in Mass. We talked about those two main things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically the two main things in layman's terms: no other God shall answer your prayers, and you obey even the most innocuous sin. God will still be offended. Be genuine in your efforts to be good. So the first reading for today was from the first book of Kings, and that is chapter 18, verse 20 through 39. And said, Ahab sent to all the children of Israel and had the prophets assemble on Mount Carmel. Elijah appealed to all the people and said, how long will you straddle the issue? If the Lord is God, follow him. If Baal, follow him. The people, however, did not answer him. So Elijah said to the people, I am the only surviving prophet of the Lord, and there are 450 prophets of Baal. Give us 2 young bulls. Let them choose one. Cut it into pieces and place it on the wood, but start no fire. I shall prepare the other and place it on the wood, but shall start no fire. You shall call on your gods, and I will call on the Lord. The God who answers with fire is God. All the people answered, agreed. Continuing. Dude, this is good, man. Listen to this. So continuing on, Elijah then said to the prophets of Baal, choose one young bull and prepare it first, for there are more of you. Call upon your gods, but do not start the fire. Taking the young bull that was turned over to them, they prepared it and called on Baal from morning to noon, saying, answer us, Baal. But there was no sound and no one answering. And they hopped around the altar they had prepared. When it was noon, Elijah taunted them, call louder. For he is a god and may be meditating or may have meditating, who may have retired or may be on a journey. Perhaps he is asleep and must be awakened. They called out louder and slashed themselves with swords and spears, as was their custom, until blood gushed over them. Noon passed and they remained in a prophetic state until the time for offering sacrifice. But there was not a sound. No one answered and no one was listening. Then Elijah said to all the people, come here to me. When the people had done so, he repaired the altar of the Lord that had been destroyed. He took 12 stones for the number of tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the Lord had said, your name shall be Israel. He built an altar in honor of the Lord with the stones and made a trench around the altar, large enough for 2 measures of grain. When he had arranged the wood, he cut up the young bull and laid it on the wood. Fill 4 jars with water, he said, and pour it over the burnt offering and over the wood. Do it again, he said, and they did it again. Do it a 3rd time, he said, and they did it a 3rd time. The water flowed around the altar, and the trench was filled with the water. At the time for offering sacrifice, the prophet Elijah came forward and said, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel and that I am your servant and have done all these things for your command. Answer me, Lord. Answer me, that this people may know that you, Lord, are God and that you have brought them back to their senses. The Lord's fire came down and consumed the burnt offering, wood, stones, and dust, and it lapped up the water in the trench. Seeing this, all the people fell prostrate and said, "The Lord is God, the Lord is God." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
See, my Catholicism could kick in.
Yeah, I know. It's just like a knee-jerk reaction. You have to say, thanks be to God. And then the other one is, thanks be to the Lord Jesus Christ.
You know?
Right?
Oh, I know all the responses. Don't you worry about that.
Well, it's in my opinion that you kind of get tricked into meditating in the Catholic faith too, because when you're saying those prayers, they're basically like mantras, and you just you don't think really. You're actually not thinking, even if you're just like reading it or you memorized it. You're really not thinking when you're saying those things.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Isn't it all the same stuff that we're just calling something else? Like, for example, in America, like we say meditation because like the new age spiritualist people think that it sounds spooky and think that it sounds like Eastern and, oh, I meditate, I sit there meditating. But what do you think that everyone's been trying to do for the last, I'm going to say 2,000 years, but beyond 2,000 years? All the chanting and all the incense and all the guys dressed as wizards, it's all like to create.
It's all meditating, dude. It's all meditating.
It's to create an atmosphere that makes you go and go into. That's why it's been so effective.
That's why it's so effective, and it's been doing it for years. You're right, dude. They're trying to recreate something that's already there. It's already there. They already have it. And I'm trying to show that it actually, all the things that you like want to find are right there in Catholicism. You want to meditate, it's there in Catholicism. You want to just, you want to pray in tongues, it's there in Catholicism. You want something progressive and dance around, whatever. It's there in Catholicism. Everything's there, right, in Catholicism. It's like a big sandwich with a lot of meat on there to bite into.
My
it's offered every single day of the week. And there's no other place you can go to like that. And Matthew McConaughey mentioned something about Wednesday service. So I do believe that they have some Wednesday service at some denominations. Yeah. And you're on to that too. You're right on that. Yep. But every single morning, dude, they don't have service. Not like the Catholic faith.
No, I don't believe
any. I don't even think there's any kind of religion that has that. Except for maybe an Eastern religion of some kind, maybe. Eastern Orthodox, obviously, but maybe even like some kind of Buddhism. I'm sure they're doing that every day. Those monks and stuff like that, they're going there every day, right?
Well, my question is to feel that feeling and of meditation or I don't know, whatever connection that you have, a deeper connection to the world.
Right.
For me, what if that meditative feeling, and it is, by the way, I'm not even trying to make a joke out of this. What if it's the first few chords of Paranoid? Bam, 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 bam. That to me is church.
You're just trying to reinvent the wheel again. That's
all.
No,
I'm not. I feel that way
are.
When I hear.
Yes, you are. Let's listen to the homily. Let's listen to the homily, please.
When I hear the opening to Voodoo Child,
you're not supposed to criticize your human creature.
Do not criticize the other human creature at the other end of this.
That noise that the black left-handed guitar player is making, that to me is God. Why can't it be?
It is. Now, hey, listen, there's a lot of, we talked about it before. There's a lot of art. People get mad at, for instance, the statues. That's another thing. It's like, that's just art on behalf of God. When people go to another, there's a lot of people that have music within their church, within their Christian denomination. Yeah. That's all art on behalf of God. Right. And so like, if you want to find God art within secular stuff, I'm sure it's in there too. Sure. All kinds of people have faith that are, they might be pop stars, but I'm sure they have some kind of faith. Probably.
You would hope so.
You would hope so. But this is the homily from today. I just want to share this. Check this out. Here we go.
The word was from God, and the word was known. And it seems, asking a parent, I said, how do you raise children? Well, when they're 7 or 8, you say, eat your mac and cheese. That's what's in front of you. When they want to take out the car when you're 16, well, as long as you access and pay for some of the gas, then you go to the prom. You manage them. And all the time, God is indeed walking with us. And he's trying to see that we can see the why behind the reasons. The Beatitudes fulfill the Ten Commandments. It's not just a matter of yes or no. It's seeing the vision of the why. That when we look at things from the way God sees them, when a person dies, it is sad. We indeed mourn, but they have gone home to God, for we weren't meant to be here forever. We do die, but yet we are born to life eternal. Seeing the perspective from God's perspective, we would learn to treat one another with more respect. We would be more accountable with the world's goods. Religion always seeks to hold the reign of the worldly powers in order. But in prioritization, Jesus came to fulfill the spiritual and the prophetical. So the Beatitudes give us more of a clear insight as to why we call Jesus the new Moses. He hasn't come to abolish, he's come to fulfill the law. And of course, he has established a clear line of preference. Why do we come to daily Mass? And why is daily Mass offered? Because from our tradition, we know this tradition is the most pleasing to God. The divine office is praised. It is pleasing to God. The rosary is a great form of prayer. It is pleasing to God. This form of prayer is most pleasing to God. And so we try to fulfill God's law by always doing what is most pleasing to God. And then we get away from the no's. We enter into more of God's world and vision and say, why? Why are we doing this? It is pleasing to God, and it is right that we offer praise.
Amen. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking I could do a barstool, sports pizza challenge style church service tryout. Do you understand?
No. Oh wait,
do you know how Barstool?
Yeah.
You know how Barstool Sports they do the pizza challenge. He goes and he'll try a pizza.
Yeah, he'll bite. He'll take one bite out of pizza and judge it.
He'll judge a pizza, right? I'll judge your church. I'll come to your church and go to your service. Doesn't matter what your faith is, what your denomination is.
That's egotistical to think you're allowed.
Why?
That you're allowed to judge another.
I'm not judging it.
You just said you're judging your church.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you're right. I'll go.
Point,
no, I'll go. You're right, but you're helping me.
Yeah,
helping us with this. So I'll go and non-judge it.
Observe it.
I'll go and non-judge it.
No, observe it. You're not judging. You're just observing.
Okay.
Maybe?
I'll just go observe it. I'll observe it. Yes.
And judge.
And then,
just sit in the back going.
What do you think? Isn't that funny? Is that stupid or what? Oh my God.
I think it would be a great idea. I think that the Catholics in that genre of judging the service, listen, the one thing Catholics need as far as their priests go is a little bit more charisma. A little bit of panache.
I mean, he thought about it. Some days you have more than others, but there wasn't a lot of meat on this today. Anyway, I'm showing you what universally they talk about in Mass. This is what they taught. This is what they teach universally. The
thing I love
sometimes they'll have better things with the saint of the day, right, or whatever. And then there's something to really take out of it. Yes. But I think that this is important, dude. There's no God before me. And the second one is this Matthew reading. This second reading is Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 through 19. Jesus said to his disciples, do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. Amen, I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or the smallest part of a letter will pass from the law until all things have taken place. Therefore, whoever breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do so will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever obeys and teaches these commandments will be called greatest in the kingdom of heaven. The gospel of the Lord. Thanks be to you, Lord
God.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, thanks be to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So because it's like that, what I take from that is it doesn't matter, like this, even if it's the smallest sin, you know, don't do it because you're okay, you're good enough. You got in here, but go sit over there in the corner.
You talking to me or the dog?
Yeah, are you talking to me? I'm doing fine. I'm an ordained reverend, by the way. So
you can't deny that these are just good words of wisdom to hear every morning.
you know what's great about what you're doing though, for real though?
What?
Whatever you're talking about, as far as the homily goes or the readings go,
applies.
It's definitely a conversation starter, and we should be talking about stuff like that.
Yes.
And where it applies today.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what we do. That's what we do.
And there's so few people talking.
I wanted to say we are two stoners. The title of this episode is Two Stoners. Whoa, what happened to you?
I just spilt my hot pipe on my bare leg.
There you go. There we go. Now, is there 3 stoners? Did I get that wrong? Because I didn't include you in that.
No, I smoke tobacco, as everyone knows.
So all I'm doing is calling myself and Genghis out. I'm sure he doesn't care about that, right?
I really don't.
Con!
We are 2 stoners on a search for truth, and we're doing it right now through the Catholic.
I'm a sober guy who's just a fan of truth.
We're doing it right now through the Catholic faith, but at any given moment, it could change, and we could shift into some other kind of philosophy. It's just comparative philosophy. Right now, we're on Catholicism.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about like meditation and what other religions have, think about like when Jewish people read from the Torah and do it in Hebrew and have that cadence of
That's meditation.
Like it has that the vibration of that language that permeates you in the same way like the Latin Mass might.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting that humans have connections like that to certain things that make them feel
better
a certain way, and it's universal despite what I'm not going to say every religion, but what certain religions are. The Muslim call to prayer has a very reverent, like something's going on here feeling, regardless of how you feel about the faith itself.
People in Islam pray 5 times a day. I mean, that's awesome.
Do you know why? Because
they want to wash themselves of their sins.
Oh, well, that's the reason they give, but the story's actually in not the Quran, but the literature that surrounds the Quran. Muhammad literally told everyone, and this is why it's like the enemy is BS to me. No matter who you are and what faith you are, the enemy is BS. And the story goes that Muhammad goes, all right, everyone, you got to pray 5 times a day. I talked to God. He wanted you to pray 100 times a day. But then I said, no, we're not going to do 100 a day. It's too many. And then he said, how about 50? And then by the end of the conversation, he goes, I got us down to 5.
Whoa, that's the story behind that?
That's the story behind that because, and by the way, this is not an anti-Semitic thing that I'm saying. The Middle East likes wheeling and dealing. They like making a deal. Like and Muhammad's thing to his people who would have related to this in that region at that time, guys who were, trading magic carpets in a market in Bengal. His thing was literally like, aren't I the greatest deal maker ever? Like, look who you got here. I am the prophet. I negotiated with God to only get us down to 5 times a day. He wanted 100. Wow. I said, no way, God. No way, Allah. We're not doing 100. And he said 50. I went 50. You're out of your mind. 5, guys. That's all you got to do.
Well, listen, I'd have to read it myself.
But that is literally the abridged version.
Okay, I'll have to read it myself.
And what a shitty story. Like what a shitty way to get your.
Let's pray for Paul.
Go for it.
Let's pray for Paul. That in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Dear Lord Jesus, please come into Paul's heart and show him the right way to live, and help him to not pass judgment onto other organized faiths of any kind. And let us all do the same. Let us all not rush to judgment and just realize that it's all the same thing. It doesn't matter what style of praise they give you, how they decide they want to show that they love you. Just, we all know that. Please God, but this really come into Paul's heart.
Yeah.
I want to thank Paul, and please, whatever saint deals with thanks, please, like, can you pray to the big guy for me and tell him I really appreciate Paul being on today. He had to get up. He works at night, and he made an effort and to not be vulgar. He's done very well thus far.
I've had
So
some
I want to
slip-ups,
thank
like all of us.
I want to thank Paul via a saint, via
Saint
you.
Francis.
Sure.
Saint Francis, pray for us. And the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And I don't want to make that comical, even though there is an element of comedy there.
It's hilarious.
Now, okay, so
And by the way, I looked up the story he talked about.
what story?
Well, let me skip to where. Let me find where it was saying it. But it does say, yeah. Then he went to meet with Allah, where he received the gift of Salat, said Rabini. Allah tells Prophet Muhammad to pray 50 times daily. When Prophet Muhammad descends back to earth, he meets Moses and is told to go back to Allah, asking for a reduction in the number of daily prayers. He then goes back and forth between Moses and Allah 9 times.
But is this the actual scripture?
Translation from it?
This is the actual translation?
Something, yeah.
I'm not full of crap.
But I don't.
I
it doesn't
actually read
like
about
it.
this
He's
stuff.
talking about, like, okay, all right.
9 times he went back and forth.
And negotiated.
Yeah, it's like getting a better deal on a boat.
Maybe that happened though. Who knows? I don't know. Here, you know what? Who are we to question it, dude?
It's the same
That's
thing.
what I'm saying. Who are you to question it?
To question Allah.
You're Paul Bazile, dude. Just pick something and just run with it. It doesn't matter. And go,
I did
and
pick
that's what
something. The opening chords to Paranoid. Bam, 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 bam.
you made an awesome. I mean, I didn't realize that it's not freedom from religion. It's freedom of religion.
No, you said that, and I asked, does that mean it should be like mandatory? like
highly
if you don't
encouraged.
go to
The same way
church, you get arrested or a ticket?
Wouldn't you say that they highly encourage secularism?
Who?
Just the state?
Well, I do believe there should be a separation of church and state. I think that's a
Yes,
good
but
idea.
do they highly encourage secularism?
Depends on who. Like, what do you mean?
The state.
In general?
How about this? Just the culture, like society in general.
I don't want the state involved with my religion one way or another. Like, I don't want any representative from the state telling me what I ought to believe in my heart.
Is there a mass shooting every day when we're the only country that's like this?
We're not, for one.
Okay, tell me why.
There's plenty of mass shootings in other countries. There was just a mass shooting in Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, and it was happening in a Catholic church.
And it was in a Catholic church. So
we talked about it the other day.
It got ignored, and it doesn't count. And it's almost the soft bigotry of low expectations thing. Like, well, they're like a third world country. They can't help themselves. Oh yeah, they murder Catholics, but that's their thing. It's fine. The Sudan, Catholics are being enslaved and murdered every single day. And nobody talks about that like it's this huge persecution thing. There's plenty of other countries per capita that have worse and more numerous mass shootings than we do. If you go into places like El Salvador and Venezuela, and by the way, this is something that always annoys me. Have you noticed that they'll always go, in 2022 alone, there have been 300 mass shootings this year? Have there been? Have you been watching the news and every day there's 2 mass shootings? No, but they classify a mass shooting as like a drive-by in Chicago where like 2 people got shot. And they say, well, that's a mass shooting, technically. And they don't even have to die. It's not like 2 dead. It's like if some guy got winged by a bullet and another guy got shot, they go, another mass shooting today in Chicago. They don't report it. They just mark it down on their little mass shooting list so that they could say, look how terrible America is. It really isn't, as far as the fact that we have as many guns as we have and we have as few mass shootings as we do shows that it's a worldwide epidemic, 1. 2, I have a feeling about that too, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you think otherwise. I think it has something to do with, have you noticed that there's no serial killers anymore?
He says this all the time, dude.
Right. Because you can't really be a serial killer in the age of cell phones. It's really hard to not get caught after like 1 or 2 murders. So now
all the DNA,
the same
all the
people
different
who are
videos, everything.
Yeah, the same people who were screwed up in the head,
Mhm.
the way that they express their sickness now is by going, well, I'm just going to get a gun and go into a mall, rather than like strangle a hooker in a parking lot over 20 years. They're just going to all at once do it and then be shot by police or arrested or, however it goes down. So that's my theory on that. And I think that a lot of why it's come to this is because of how people now communicate, which is why I was saying you're reading and the daily homily. I think it's good if you believe or don't believe, just to discuss it, because I feel like nobody really discusses anything anymore without it being on social media and people being hyper aware of how they're being perceived and what they say. So they don't want to say the wrong thing and they want to seem cool to their friends and they want this and they want that, which I think is adding up to a lot of sickness because of a lack of like real human communication and real human bonding, which is something that was very interesting about the Proud Boys. Because one of the things that Gavin said that really appealed
that's
to
another
me,
thing. Remember when we spoke, when we started this show, we do not speak for any violent criminal organizations, right? There's no association whatsoever with this show and any violent criminal organizations, any organizations that people say is a violent criminal organization, even though it's maybe not correct, actually, even if it's slandered as such. We have no affiliation whatsoever with any kind of organization whatsoever.
No violent organization aside from the Catholic
Church.
But my point is, when Gavin McInnes used to first form the Proud Boys, he said, we need to do this face-to-face and in person because this is what we're missing. It shouldn't just be an online thing. And that appealed to me because I was like, you're right. Guys don't just go out as friends anymore and, BS about their wives or talk about like, I'm trying to start a business and how do I do this? You used to be surrounded by people who could give you advice and help you out. Now it's your entire persona is this fake thing that lives on your Facebook page. And it's the guy you want everyone to see you as. And I've met, and I'm sure you have too, dozens and dozens of people who, when you meet them in person, they're nothing like who they are online. Like they could be sending out these positive affirmations every single day and all this other stuff. And you meet them and they're the most miserable person you ever met in your life. And you're like, you're not this guy. And it's sort of like Ellen DeGeneres with her dancing. I don't know if Ellen DeGeneres likes dancing or if she's the kind of person that wants you to think she likes dancing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because apparently she's totally miserable in her real life. So maybe you're not into dancing as much as you just want to be the dancing person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a microcosm of what most of us are today. And by the way, one of the reasons why right now I'm not on like a permanent podcast and I'm not like, constantly trying to be Mr. Showman. I'm on your show because I like you and I like what you're doing. But I don't do it because I started thinking to myself, like, I'm 38 years old. Is my biggest concern in life going to be who's following me, and if I have a big enough following so I could become popular enough where I could get donos and make money. And
no,
it's like,
I don't
what
care.
a sad
It's all
existence.
fake. It's all fake. It's stupid.
Yeah,
I
what
want
a
to live
sad
in the middle of nowhere in the woods in Costa Rica,
yeah,
making shirts and doing podcasts. No,
why not?
I mean, Costa Rica actually sounds cool.
It's beautiful.
I've been watching documentaries about Costa Rica. Okay,
I'm just saying.
I have friends who moved down there. They love it.
Up there. It's right up there.
yeah, yes, it is.
But that's my point. It's like, do I want to be a guy like our friend? And when I say our friend, I mean that extremely sarcastically. Nick Fuentes, who apparently preaches.
Yeah, go ahead and
faith. tell
me about that before we wrap up. We're just going to say the last daily meditation.
No, real quick. I'm just using.
Tell me the inside baseball, because in a past life we did some podcasting, you and I, and you would always give me the inside baseball. It's like kind of like crossing the line, things that shouldn't even be probably aired or said in public whatsoever.
That should be the name of my podcast. Things that probably shouldn't be aired or said.
Everything, well, and I told you we have to amend that the creed, and then put in right there about something to the effect of we don't our guests, we're not liable for what they say, things like that.
No, I represent myself.
You have to have one line in there for that.
Nothing Fat Enzo and Connor saying.
So please.
No, but what I'm getting at is you have people in all movements, but like the conservative movement, and I mean we point it out with liberals all the time, where we say, well, this is a person who says they love the environment, but look, their house, they use the energy that it could take to power 10 houses because they really don't care about the environment the way they want you to think they care about the environment. Well, unfortunately, we have people who are trying to hijack the whole conservative thing, like Nick Fuentes, who is screaming to the hills that he's Catholic and religious. That's why I'm going to be a virgin forever and blah, 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 and all his nonsense. Then it gets outed by people who worked, and I don't mean like kind of worked with him. I mean guys who lived in his house, guys who worked with him every day, and people were going, I kind of like Nick Fuentes. And the whole time I'm going, he's just repeating Richard Spencer talking points with his little smug 21-year-old face like he should be telling us all how to live. And he's talking about Catholicism to me. And I put me in a room with that man and I'll talk about Catholicism. I swear to God, I'll light him up. And he apparently makes fun of all his followers in private messages for posting a Bible verse. And he hasn't been to church in years, according to these people. He does not go to church regularly. That's a little funny for an overtly religious guy who's not just like, I'm spiritual. It's like he's sitting there going, I am Catholic. And by the way, if you miss a Sunday Mass, you are aware that is a mortal sin, right? That's a mortal sin on your soul. You cannot take communion, and you shouldn't do that. And if you really are this strict Catholic, to the point where you are chasing girls off with a broom handle, apparently, wouldn't you think that guy would go to church? Wouldn't you think he'd be okay with people discussing God and religion in his own circle? Because apparently he's not. And then apparently all his, I hate gays and gays are degenerates. Well, he got caught last week or a week and a half ago with transsexual pornography on what apparently is his phone, according to sources and sleuths on 4chan, who said, hey, look, we found that this is his account. And he's looking at she-males all the live long day while preaching about how evil degeneracy is. Now, here's the thing. I don't care if you look at she-males. It's none of my business what you look at. But when you preach against it, when you're specifically saying how terrible and horrible that is, but he surrounds himself with young twinkish boys all day while telling other people, no, you can't be like this. By the way, donate to my account. By the way, donate to my thing. Oh, by the way, peace be with you and Catholicism and God. Hey, all you God people want to give me money, right? It means it's the thing we all hate. It's the thing that made people run screaming from religion in the first place, which is we started seeing the hypocrisy of all these televangelists, of guys who would say one thing and then you'd find out in their private life they're cheating on their wife. Of guys who would say one thing about gays and then you'd find out, wait, you're smoking crack with a gay guy in a hotel who you're hooking up with. That's the thing that made people go, all these people are full of it. Well, why bother?
We talked about it yesterday. You have to be the light in the world. That's what Jesus, teaches in Catholicism. Well, that's what they teach in Catholicism. You have, if you want to, you got to live it. You got to live it if you want to preach it.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is, I'm okay. If you're a sinner, I'm not speaking for the Catholic Church, and I'm not affiliated with the Catholic Church any longer. But however, I will say this: what it can come down to is how I look at faith, which was the original question that you asked me when we opened up. Is I don't think God could blame me for what I think and for not believing in magic tricks. I don't think if I met God, he would judge me for that.
Oh, he's going to judge you good.
No, but I don't think he would say, I think that...
I don't think, number one, you shouldn't be thinking at all. Shut off your brain because your thoughts are the devil. Okay?
Apparently.
And they are. Your thoughts are the devil. Now, how's your relationship with your mom? Is she overbearing? Great. Italian mom? Is she an overbearing mom?
Sure.
Okay, forgive your mom for being so overbearing.
I will.
And also go to your father and forgive him for not protecting you in front of your mother. I'm serious.
I will.
And then remember that all thoughts are all lies all the time about anything. And then get into a good Catholic church and meditate every morning. All right. God bless you, Paul. Let's say the meditation of the day right now.
Okay.
So this is by Rita A. Simmonds, and it's called The Fulfillment of the Law. You arrive at every moment to move and complete me, to teach me to live, to give limbs to your law, flesh to each curve or accent inscribed. The law of your word is a person who loves with hands that can serve, eyes that adore, ears that attend, a mind that's engaged, knees that can bend, a tongue that gives praise. Your ancient commands now dance and embrace, each letter's alive, forever engraved.
Is that an amen at the end of that or no? Is that an official?
Do you want to know who wrote it?
Who wrote it?
That is by Rita A. Simmonds. It's an award-winning poet. She is the author of a memoir entitled Convicted by Mercy, The Journey of Frank Simmonds from the Streets to Sanctity, and 4 books of poetry, her latest being He Called, from an unpublished manuscript used with permission by the author. Yep.
My message that I'll leave your audience with.
Yes, please.
My message is live the kind of life that if there is a God, you could look him in the eye and say, at least I wasn't a hypocrite.
Exactly. I love that. Thank you so much, Paul. I really appreciate you, man, being on here. Thank you.
You guys are awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you. Yep, we are going to be out of here. Outstanding. Wow. Outstanding, bro. And remember, guys, via con Dios. Go with God, right? That's the most important thing.
And please like and subscribe. It helps us a lot.
And when you're done with that, and when the podcast is over, which is now, go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Yeah,
because that's what it's all about. It's all about peace. It's all about peace. However you decide to get to your peace, go ahead and get to your peace that way. It don't matter. Nope. I'm not going to pass judgment on you what you do. But for Christ's sakes, get into some kind of spirituality and mix that with some meditation. You'll be good. You'll be good. Now hand that thing over. Let me take one more of those things over there. Hand that over, you scum. Oh yeah, by the way, tune in tomorrow, guys, every morning. Every morning. Be well.
Outstanding.